Good morning, welcome to the Sunflower Conversations. I'm Chantal and I'm really looking forward to my conversation today. Joining me is Gemma, who is a volunteer leader for the charity Endometriosis UK, and Gemma runs the Fife group. She has lived experience of endometriosis and is passionate about supporting people who are waiting for a diagnosis. Also joining us is Aimee. Aimee is a sunflower wearer, 18 years old, and first started experiencing symptoms when she was 11 years old. At 14, she received her diagnosis. Aimee has had numerous surgical procedures and drug treatments. So let me start off by saying that endometriosis affects women, LGBT women, and non-binary people. Gemma, can you please, first of all, explain to me what is endometriosis and how does it affect a person?
Okay, so endometriosis is a condition that affects 1 in 10 women. It's where cells similar to ones in the lining of the womb are found elsewhere in the body. Each month the cells react in the same way to those in the womb, building up and breaking down and bleeding. But unlike the cells in the womb that leave the body as a period, the blood has nowhere to escape. Around 1.5 million women suffer from the condition, and it can cause chronic pain, fatigue, depression, isolation, impact on sexual intercourse, and difficult conceiving.
Is it only women that would be affected by this? But you say it is linked in with the monthly cycle.
It is, yeah, linked in with your menstrual cycle, yeah. But I believe, I was reading at the weekend that I believe it's really, really rare, but some men, it's been found in some men now.
So there are 4 stages. So you mentioned that somebody on stage 1 might not have a totally different experience of stage 4. So is it possible to explain the 4 stages or not?
It's quite difficult, I think, because, well, myself, I've got stage 2, but I could be in a lot more pain than somebody with stage 4. I mean, you have women with stage 4 that don't even know they've got it. And some women don't realise they've got it until maybe they've had children, and then they start experiencing severe pain. And it can turn out as stage 4, all your kind of organs are stuck together. So it's really difficult to explain. I mean, stage 1, I think it's minimal. It could be perhaps maybe the size of your pinky nail. But again, you could be in excruciating pain. Stage 2 is mild, and stage 3 is moderate, and stage 4 is severe. But like I say, stage 4, you might not have any symptoms. You might never know you've even got it. It's just how your body reacts to all these different things.
So Aimee, can I bring you in here? Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Aimee?
So I was diagnosed when I was 14, but I had symptoms since I was 11. I first went to my GP about it. I was just put on the pill because they said just heavy periods, this will sort it out. Then I was tried on things like mefenamic acid and tranexamic acid and things to try manage the pain and the bleeding. The bleeding was really heavy, and I would get a period. I'd get symptoms the week before my period, the week of my period, and then the week after. So it was 3 weeks of the month I was just completely out of it from the pain. My GP told me that it was IBS because of the bowel symptoms I was experiencing. I was told I had blood tests for my thyroid levels, told to cut loads of different foods out of my diet to check for intolerances. So they really kind of focused on the bowel issues that came along with it, rather than actually these bowel issues are worse on the week of my period. So I ended up doing my own research, and I found out about endometriosis online. So I mentioned it to my GP, who just said, no, you're too young for that. It's not that condition. You're too young. So it wasn't until I was 13 that I was finally referred to a paediatrician because of my age. And that was only because we ended up putting in a formal complaint because we weren't getting anywhere. And then as soon as I saw the paediatrician, her response was, why have you not been referred to a gynecologist? and she referred me to a gynecologist straight away. Saw the gynecologist, who said, yeah, we'll book you in for a laparoscopy straight away. I had my laparoscopy when I was 14. They found endo on my left pelvic side wall and my left ovary and my pouch of Douglas. But this was just a general gynecologist, not an endometriosis specialist. So the endometriosis wasn't removed from my pouch of Douglas, but it was removed from my ovary and pelvic side wall. Had some relief for about a year or two, and then over time the symptoms started building back up again. I tried to get referred back to gynecologist at my hospital, but the wait times were really long. It was just a case of kind of trying to manage it with my GP, until about a year ago we paid to see somebody privately, an endometriosis specialist, and I've just had another laparoscopy in January. They found endometriosis on my bowels, the stuff from the pouch of Douglas was still there. I had a 4-centimeter cyst on my right ovary. Left pelvic side wall again had it.
Is it laparoscopy? Is that how I say it? What are they? They're removing the tissue that's got the nerve damage, or do you know what?
Yeah, so if they find patches of endometriosis or adhesions that are kind of fusing organs together and things like that, there's 2 types of surgery. There's ablation and excision surgery. So with ablation, I kind of use the analogy of like weeds. They're kind of just burning the top off, but the roots are still there. Whereas with excision, they cut it out from the roots. So although the endometriosis tissue can still grow back, it kind of takes less time to grow back because of that. So I had excision surgery.
Right, and then is that what's created the scar tissue?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's another problem, isn't it? The scar tissue.
Yeah.
And Gemma, what about you? Was your diagnosis a similar story to Aimee's, whereby she's had to go and research and, you know, really push and fight to get the treatment and the quality of service that she needed?
So I'm 41 now, and I started the fight when I was 15, back and forward to doctors. Eventually I saw gynae. Gynae said that it was in my head because I lost my mum at a young age. So my mum died of ovarian cancer. So they've always kind of put it down to me just being a worrier, and me thinking because my mum passed away of ovarian cancer, I was thinking it was all in my head, but I knew it wasn't in my head. So I fought, and I was put on antidepressants. I was made to see psychologists, just kind of made to feel like I was losing the plot a bit. And then eventually I agreed to do a drug trial. So I was put on gabapentin, and you were basically working your way up to taking 12 gabapentin tablets a day. And the trial was going really, really well until I hit like the 12th tablet, and maybe a week or 2 after that, I just started collapsing. I would just be out and I'd just faint. So I got in touch with the hospital, was brought off them immediately. They didn't even wean me off them, they just brought me off them, referred me straight for a laparoscopy, and that was my first laparoscopy, and it came back that I had endometriosis.
And how old were you, sorry, at that point?
I was 36.
Wow, that's a long time from the age of 15, isn't it? And all that trauma that it was.
Well, even at that point, they just diagnosed me. They never did anything, so they left it. And I went on a chemical menopause injection called Decapeptyl, but I can't take HRT because breast cancer and ovarian cancer in my family. So I had to come off that because it's not good for your bones and your heart. So again, I pushed for another laparoscopy so I could get excision and ablation, and I got that 2 years ago, and my symptoms are now coming back thick and fast.
Really?
So I've actually seen my consultant this Friday, and I'll be asking for another laparoscopy and more excision and ablation. I think it's just a constant battle. That you have, but with that obviously comes its own problems, because then you end up with scar tissue and then organs start sticking together. So it's just a vicious circle and not knowing what to do, really.
It's really it's really aggressive, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Really aggressive. And your mental health must have been severely affected by your treatment from the age of 15. Such a formative time. Anyway, you said that you lost your mother. I'm really sorry to hear that. And then to not be believed, and sounds like Aimee had a similar experience. Like, how do you cope with that? How do you?
Well, see, when I was diagnosed, it was probably one of the best days of my life, because you were finally believed. Like, they actually, you eventually can prove to them that you were never making all this up. It was real. And to go through that for 20 odd years plus, it was really difficult. But I would say my mental health I'm fine now. I don't take any tablets or anything, don't do anything like that. And because I've got the group, and we've got loads of support through Endometriosis UK, it makes a massive difference. And speaking to other women that have got the exact same condition is brilliant, because they're the only ones that really know what you're going through. Friends and family, they kind of struggle, I think, because they don't understand the condition and the way you feel, because obviously you look fine and there's nothing visible to see, but on the inside you're not fine. And yeah, I think having these support groups makes a massive difference to your mental health. Definitely mine anyway, it's made a huge difference. And I've made some brilliant friends through these support groups. And I don't know about yourself, Aimee, if you're on any of these support groups.
I'm not with any of the Endo UK support groups. There isn't one very local to me. But I find I have my Instagram account, which I use a lot to raise awareness and support other people, get support for myself. And like you said, being able to talk to other people who are going through the same thing and they do just get it. Even little things like your family will see you in pain and say you need to go to A&E, when actually for them, yeah, that would be the correct answer. But actually for us, it's a real big last resort, because we know there's not a whole lot A&E can often do other than give you stronger pain meds. And sometimes you just prefer to ride out at home. And the endo community really get that, because they've been through it. And it's a hard thing for other people to understand. Like, friends and family can do their absolute best to research and understand, but I don't think you fully can unless you go through it yourself.
You've mentioned it is related to the menstrual cycle. So as a young person, being at school, because we don't really talk about periods anywhere near as much as we need to. It's some sort of dirty secret that, you know, we can't refer to, which is absolutely wrong. How was that for you? Because you were starting this change in your body and being in a school environment. I mean, how did you deal with that?
Yeah, I found that really difficult. Initially, my symptoms started off as kind of just the week I was on my period. So I managed that okay when they first started. But when I got to about 13, that was when they started happening a lot. I missed a lot of time out of school because of not only the endo, the pain, the sickness, the bowel issues, but also the effect it was having on my mental health, not being listened to and believed. And like Gemma said, it was such a massive relief when I got diagnosed. I actually cried and I was like, wow, somebody has found a reason for this. Because you start to think, when you're being dismissed so much, you start to think, oh, is it in my head? Like, you start to question yourself.
I think there is a massive shift from when you go at primary school to secondary school. You're still in that kind of little child headspace, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's one of them things where everybody's just so interested in trying to fit in. And it definitely impacted my mental health. And I felt so alone in what I was going through.
As you said, having gone through everything that you've both gone through, getting your diagnosis is the validation for, yes, I'm genuine, this is how I was feeling. Because as you said, you start to question yourself.
Mm.
What is the length of time for diagnosis, Gemma, from from people that you've spoken to? And also, does it matter where you live? Sometimes things to do with healthcare are postcode lottery.
Well, I know in Fife at the moment we're 8.5 years diagnosis time, but I think it's on average about 8 years, 8.5 years throughout the whole UK for diagnosis. Some maybe a bit longer. Like you say, it's a postcode lottery. It depends where you live. Like at the moment where I live, we've not even got any GPs. Our GPs have all resigned.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and we've got girls in the group that are paying to go private now. I've got one girl is actually travelling. She's going to Turkey to get a hysterectomy because she just can't get any treatment here, which is really quite scary.
So Aimee, the people on your Instagram page, they're presumably from different areas in the UK, or are they from abroad? I mean, who do you get interacting with you on that?
I've got people from all over the world. It's primarily UK, but I've also got people from America, Australia. I've got some French followers. So it is quite all over the world. And I definitely agree with the kind of postcode lottery. I mean, there's not that many endometriosis specialists compared to the amount of people with endo. So it's really difficult. A lot of people do end up traveling. I mean, I traveled from Somerset to Essex to get my surgery because that was a specialist that had been recommended to me by another lady, and it meant I felt comfortable with them, and I knew that they were a good specialist who was going to listen to me. So to me, it was worth it to travel.
Gemma, you said a stat of 1.5 million in the UK?
Yeah, 1.5, yeah.
So do you know
that they know of?
That they know of, yeah.
That's it. There'll be women that they don't know of yet that are still having that same fight that we've had. Through
Endometriosis UK, are you aware of any research that's being done, and do you think that there's enough funding?
A massive issue, yeah. I know there's a clinic in Edinburgh that specialise in endometriosis, and they're doing a lot of trials. They're doing the GAP2 trial, which is the gabapentin trial that I was on. They're also doing what's it called? Ecotech trial, which evaluates the potential and accessibility of a smartwatch to see if the technology from a smartwatch could possibly help with the pelvic pain, but I'm not sure how the whole trial works. I've not really been following it. I know in England there's quite a few trials as well.
Gemma, are you able to maybe touch on some of your own personal experiences or some of the women that you support within your groups, with regard to work and relationships?
Because it's spoken about a lot more than it used to be spoken about. I know Endometriosis UK can link up with companies now, and they can support women that are working with a condition, and a lot more businesses are looking at the way you work and the equipment that you're using, and they try and assist with that. So it definitely is getting better.
So Aimee, why do you wear the sunflower?
So I initially got it when I was going on holiday to America through Gatwick Airport, and that was kind of really helped to get me through security and for all the staff to understand that there was something else going on. I would be carrying medical supplies, all of that, and it really just made the whole journey so much easier and less stressful on me. I also have autism, so that definitely made a massive difference. I have days where my pain is severe and I just need to crouch down for a minute and kind of let the kind of intense pain ride out, and it just means that shop staff who can recognize it are able to say, oh, see if I need somewhere to sit down or anything, and it just makes you feel more comfortable going out knowing that there's people there that are going to understand that you've got something going on that they can't see.
And what would you say to somebody who might be considering whether to wear it or not? They're not sure, is it going to help me, or is it going to make me a target? Or
yeah, I'd say go for it. I was very concerned at first with my anxieties and confidence issues that it would kind of draw attention to me. But actually, over the years, I've realised that the only people that notice it are the people that are trained to, and the people you want to notice it. Actually, other people don't particularly. And it just really does put your mind at ease. So I'd say go for it, give it a try and see if it works for you.
Aimee, you've mentioned like some of the treatments you've had so far, and I just wondered if you could just talk a little bit further about that. You mentioned that you're going to be taking some medication now that's going to put you into early menopause.
Yeah, so obviously, as I said earlier, I was initially put on the pill when it first started, to try and manage the bleeding, the pain. That didn't really do a whole lot other than make my periods even more irregular. And then I tried countless other medications to manage the heaviness: tranexamic acid, mefenamic acid, pain, naproxen, codeine, all different pain medications. I had the coil fitted during my laparoscopy to see if that would work better than the pill. That hasn't had any impact. So now we're kind of on a bit of a last ditch effort with trying the chemical menopause injections.
To make a decision to have something like that, which doesn't normally come until you be like late 40s, 50s, 60s. What was the decision process, the thought process about agreeing to do that?
Yeah, so it was mentioned to me back in September when I first saw my specialist, and I refused it then. I said I wanted to try the surgery first, because I had some relief from it last time. So I wanted to give that a go first. I've heard a lot of stories from a lot of different people about how it affected them. And it's a scary thing to think about. You're in menopause for the time you're on the injections, but it has long-term effects on your body as well. So even when you come off of them, like Gemma said earlier, the effects on your bones and your heart. My consultant said that your bones don't fully develop until you're in your 20s, but the menopause injections can affect your bone density. So because my bones are already not fully developed because of my age, it can have a greater effect on my bones as well.
Are you hoping that this is a gateway to you being able to really start your life again?
Yeah, so it's a bit of that, trying to get it under control. I'm only able to be on it for maximum of 6 months, but they don't want me on it longer than 3 months.
Once you've done the 6 months, does that mean then that you will never then go back to having periods? If you wanted to have a child, you won't be able to?
No, so you're only in menopause for the time you're on the injections.
I see. So Gemma, do you know whether this is a hereditary condition?
It's not been proven, but I think I know myself, my auntie, she has endometriosis, and I believe my mum probably did have endometriosis, looking back at how she was when I was younger, but there's nothing been proven that it's hereditary. But a lot of women that you speak to, you find that there's somebody in their family's got it.
Does endometriosis affect fertility generally?
I think it can, yeah. I think some women really struggle to have children when they've got endometriosis, because obviously it's could be on your fallopian tubes. I know there's a number of women have had to have fallopian tubes removed because they get blocked. I've got quite a few girls like that, but we've got quite a few girls that we call them miracle babies, and they've had babies. We've got one of the leaders, one of the other groups. She just had a baby a few months ago, and she was a miracle. He was a miracle baby, and she's had a right time of it as well. So yeah, I think it is known, but I don't think it's ever been proven that it causes infertility.
And have either of you tried alternative therapies? So I'm thinking acupuncture, for example.
I've tried loads of physiotherapy. I've tried Reiki. I've tried CBD oils. I'm currently on a cannabis program just now, so it's pure THC, and I find it really helps.
I've heard some fantastic things about the THC, like really working miracles.
it's very costly, but
Mm.
I definitely find it's helped me a lot.
Have you tried anything else, Aimee?
Yeah, so I've tried CBD oils, CBD kind of like creams that you can rub on the area. I've had a lot of like CBT therapy to try and help manage the stress side of things, because stress can cause flare-ups. I use TENS machine to try and help with the pain, kind of what every person I know of endo uses, heat pads, all sorts of, I try as many natural things as possible, like taking different supplements and vitamins to try and manage the different symptoms, kind of anything to avoid putting these chemicals into my body as possible.
I've incorporated questions, you know, from the sunflower community into this interview, but I've got one I wanted to read out, Gemma, if you would be up for that.
Okay.
This question is from Lisa. Can my GP refer me to my local BSGE endometriosis team? I read that they can, but my GP has told me it has to come from my gynecologist. I'm under a general gynae at the moment and recently had surgery to remove endometriosis. But as it was done by a general gynae surgeon and not a specialist, they were unable to fully remove all active endometriosis that's on my bowel. As a specialist colorectal surgeon should have been present, but wasn't due to it not being performed by a specialist gynae surgeon. My post-op isn't for another 6 months, and due to increasingly long referral wait times as it is, it would be in my best interest to be referred ASAP. I wouldn't want to add more time to be seen under a specialist while still suffering as a result of my surgeon being unsuccessful in removing all endometriotic tissue due to lack of specialism and experience. How can I progress forward with this in the best way for my care?
So I believe she can get a referral from her GP. Our gynecologist consultant doesn't have to do that. Our GP can do that for her. But I'm not 100% sure what it'll do to even just the relationship that she's maybe got. I'm trying to think, was it Emma that responded?
Yeah, so she said, so basically she said, yes, a GP can, to get a referral from your GP or consultant to one of the BSGE centres, you will usually need to have or be suspected to have involvement of your bowel or bladder. The NICE guidelines on endometriosis is also useful when trying to get a referral to an endometriosis specialist. The guidelines and quality standards were developed with the aim of improving diagnosis and ensuring prompt and appropriate referral to secondary care. So I think that Lisa can go back to her GP, I would say, with that advice, with what you've said, and push for that referral. Gemma, can you tell us, what does Endometriosis UK do? Obviously, you are a lead volunteer for this charity, but like, can you tell us a bit more about what they do and who they do?
Yeah, so Endometriosis UK we try and improve the lives of women affected with the condition, try to decrease the impact it has on those with the condition and their families and friends. Endo UK have support groups all over the UK and in most regions, with new groups coming on all the time. I know we just had a new group in Scotland called the Falkirk group, the kind of Stirling area. So they have new leaders coming on board all the time. And it's all kind of done through social media platforms. Each group holds a support group meeting every month, whether it be online, face-to-face. We do wellbeing walks, so we meet up with girls and just generally go for a walk, chat, and it's really good just to meet other people and see how they're feeling. And of course, it's Endo Awareness Month this month, or Endo Action Month, as they've changed it. So there's a lot going on, not this month, next month, March, sorry. There's a lot going on. So we're doing the 1 in 10 challenge. So it could be anything from run 10K to do 10 squats a day, bake 10 cakes, have a coffee morning at 10 a.m, invite 10 people to join a quiz, read 10 books. I mean, there's loads of things going on in March. I know myself, I've arranged a 10K step challenge. So I've got myself and 20 or 21 other women are walking 10,000 steps every day for the month of March. So we're hoping to raise a lot of awareness, hoping to raise a lot of money. And we're going to do our final walk on the 26th as a group together.
That's brilliant. Well, in the show notes, we'll put a link to Endometriosis UK, and Aimee will put a link to your Instagram account as well. But perhaps, I don't know if we want to put a link to your fundraising, Gemma, and maybe we can help get some more support from the Sunflower Wearers for your 10,000 steps a day. You'll be super fit by the end of March. Do either of you have any advice for someone who's listened today to our conversation and experienced some of the things that we've discussed? I'll come to Aimee first.
My main bit of advice would be, don't stop advocating for yourself. You know your body best, and despite what the doctors say, if you think something is wrong, don't stop fighting for the care and treatment you deserve. You know how you feel, and you know if something's not right. So don't give up fighting. Don't feel it's hard to not get put down when you're being dismissed, but just don't stop fighting, because it is the only way you will get the care and treatment you deserve.
That's lovely. Thank you, Aimee. Gemma?
Yeah, so I absolutely echo what Aimee's saying. You have to keep fighting. Don't give up. You know your own body. You know when something's not right. And just don't let anybody be fobbed off, and reach out to these support groups. Reach out to Endometriosis UK. Again, there's lots going on all social media platforms. Just believe you're not alone. You're not alone. There's hundreds and thousands of women out there, and we're all here to support each other. So please just keep advocating and just keep on fighting.
Well, you two are clearly fighters. Your journey has been a really tough one. Aimee, you're still so young and you've been through so much already. And Gemma has turned her battle into offering support to other people as well. So I think you're both amazing individuals, and I am very honoured and to have learned so much more about endometriosis than I knew about before. And as Aimee says, be your own advocate, back yourself, and will you please keep in touch?